It's this northern time dilation.
It's not.
You're in a different time zone for
your internet connection. Nobody's watching, so we're all right just to ramble. Okay, let's start.
I wasn't.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim, and with me, of course, are Admiral Elliot.
Fucking solids.
And Dr. Squee.
Dragon! Solid. Fucking solids.
And we're here to talk about the latest episode of Picard, Surrender.
Hey,
which...
let's get to important professional business first, though. If I disappeared during this record, it's because they can't make up their fucking mind when they're delivering. It's 8:30 to 9:30 the slot. How does 7:37 look like that?
I've said, this is your southern privilege coming out, because up here we get a 2-hour slot and we think ourselves lucky, and that's it. Whereas you've been like sharing with us updates of where your driver is and how many stops he's got to go. We get none of that. They just rock up and then they only bring half of what you've actually ordered.
Well, that's universal, but at least yours is within that 2-hour slot. I got given an hour slot and it's arriving an hour and a half early when I'm in the middle of, or an hour early when I'm in the middle of recording Retrek. So they're going to get the full dragon.
Yeah, good. That'll show them.
Yeah, that'll confuse them. Sorry.
Anyway, let's deal with the elephant in the room straight away. Last episode finished by saying, Jack Crusher, you will find out the truth of who you are next week on Star Trek Picard. And we do not find out the truth of who Jack Crusher is, but we do finish with a cliffhanger that we might find out the truth about Jack Crusher.
I was not impressed with this.
I was not impressed with this.
I tell you, I was even less impressed than I was just a minute ago when you used the elephant metaphor and I didn't see an elephant. How unimpressed I was.
We have a chat, and Jim and Squee like to chat all week about what's happened throughout the episodes, and I don't get involved in that. I like to save it for this.
You save your part of it.
But I was dying for you both to have seen it, because I just wanted to say one thing: how pissed off I was that they ended on the same fucking cliffhanger. How dead
the thing is, it wouldn't have been so bad, but they had to cut the episode for time. If they just let that scene run on as it was originally filmed, she goes, and it's about time you found out who you were, Mr. Jack Crusher. I'm not the one to tell you, of course. You'll find that on the fullness of time, and I don't want to imply otherwise. Goodbye. And that was actually the end of the episode.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. We are being flippant about it, but what it is they made a promise to the audience last week.
Yeah. I
know you could argue that in universe Vadik did intend to let him know, and then circumstances came in, blah blah blah. But none of that is. I'm sorry to break it to people, but it's not real. This is a scripted TV show that people write and construct. And they deliberately chose to promise us that we would get that answer, and then didn't do it, and then had the audacity to do the same cliffhanger again.
Yeah.
And it's just not fair on the audience. It doesn't engender trust. They've built up a lot of trust this season with how great they've been. But that is just a slap in the face. I really don't like it.
It doesn't even work by the premise. If anyone was thinking, it's like, oh, but she got distracted by something else. She didn't. She literally purposefully then went on to scan the ship to start taking away things from them. So that was that was premeditated, was what it was.
Yeah.
She knew she wasn't going to tell us who Jack was, and yet she said it anyway that she was. And then she went on to a different tack. It was not. There was
nothing going on in the ship to distract her. She had control.
But she didn't have Jack, to be fair, until he turned up, and they do sort of
saying that. She was already saying that over the comm to him.
True.
Yeah.
No, it was. I didn't like it, and it makes me think that we're not going to get the answer until probably the end of next week's episode.
I think we're going to get it early on.
I would hope so, but because they've annoyed me this week, I'm like, no, I don't trust them now.
I have started to build up a theory of what it is.
Sorry.
And I think it may be being controlled by a power wraith, which is how it ties into DS9. Because we've got his eyes going red.
Yeah.
We've got all the other red effects and all that when he sort of sees into their world. We get it revealed by Diana that there's a darkness. We get it revealed that it isn't actually him, but it's surrounded by all these dark presences.
Yeah, and it's ancient.
We get an evil presences within him.
That does all make sense. I love that. Because I had two theories.
The only thing that I think goes wrong with it is I was thinking, well, it could be sort of like when they were cast out at the end of DS9, but the years don't work right because the end of DS9 was, what is it, 2375? Nemesis was 2399. And Jack was conceived probably about a year later, so 2380. So
so it wouldn't.
Around.
I had two theories which popped into my head. One of which better not happen. The other which won't happen, but it would be awesome. One of which is if they open that door and someone pops out going, "Hey, Mister," no, just no, straight away. She's not allowed to come back in that, guys. No, just don't do it. It's not the Borg Queen.
About?
The Borg Queen.
Of course,
Agnes.
They like a bloody shoehorn had her going, "Hi, Mister," to him. There was about 5 times she mentioned the series but it was really featured in 2 episodes where she just said it over and again, and she'd never said it before. Just so at the end where she appeared as the Borg Queen, she could go, "Hey, Mister." It pissed me off, and if they do that again, no. Second one, which it just won't be, is it would be great if it was Cisco, because it's an ancient being. He's meant to be beyond time at this stage. Any of the prophets will be.
True.
I mean, the prophets would work as well, that they are surrounded by evil, which are the pirates, but they're not.
Which is why I was thinking,
but pirates, I think, tighter fit. I like that.
It's just with it being sort of because we've got so many references to Dominion War, and they said that it's going to tie in the end of Voyager and tie into the end of DS9, and part of the tie into the end of DS9 is the power wraiths as well. Are they finally gone?
Oh no! Voyager ended with the Borg Queen. No, you're not allowed to have Agnes behind that fucking door. No, just no.
I don't think it'll be Agnes, but I do think the Borg answer is going to be better. I think behind the door is Locutus, and it's Jack's going to be the offspring of the Borg, something like that. Though if it was good,
is that how he's got these abilities as well? Which is
I think that's Borg because Terry Matlas was on Twitter talking, engaging with people, talking theories, and he said nobody's talking about a really obvious clue that we put in the episode. And so when I rewatched it, I was looking for this really obvious clue. And my current theory is that the clue is the way it's filmed when Jack sort of goes spirit walking. It's almost got that fisheye lens that they use when we get Borg point of view. So I'm wondering if that's a clue. But hopefully we'll find out next week, which is what we said last week.
Yeah, just to tag onto it as well. It's like I'm hoping. I don't think they are, but it would be really nice if this symbology of the door and the vines which appear along it. It would be great if that was paid off. There was a reason for that, not just it looks artistically interesting.
Yeah,
it would be better if that tied into it. But I can't see any explanation which would put those in, unless there's someone unless the door's meant to be and the vines are meant to be a reference to Picard and the vineyard.
Maybe.
And he had to go through that door for his mum. Was that red? I can't remember.
I don't think it was red.
Unless I'm just wondering if
unless it's Vecna from Stranger Things and it is the upside down, and then it all makes sense. But
solved. That's it.
Where it's a big crossover between Paramount and Netflix. They're like, let's expand the universe.
Just before we end Theory Corner, did you notice though? Just as I said, it better not be Agnes. Even Willow shook her head and jumped off the bed in disgust at the idea that it might be. Even Willow's again. Look, she's licking herself in disgust at that theory. Just maybe I'll cover that up. Actually, sorry, viewers. I'd like to give herself a very thorough bath.
Look,
That's
dogs,
the
there'll be
one.
dogs. It's fine. We'll get a copyright strike from Facebook. They'll be like, disgusting.
I do like the fact my wind works
anyway.
nice little privacy.
That's pretty good. Multifunctional.
That's good.
So to the episode itself then, Vadik, straight away, has got one of the coolest items anyone can own, which is a gun that is in fact a lighter. And I'm really hoping that next week, she's gone though, isn't she? We could have had hours of fun with that. We could have had like Inspector Clouseau when his captain's always trying to shoot him and it's not a gun, it's a lighter, and then he lights it and it is a gun.
I must admit, I know this is jumping ahead, but because you mentioned about her dying, I did, when I was watching it back and I saw her go into space and like just frozen over, I was like, oh, maybe she did some, maybe she's still out there and we've all missed it. Then she crashed into the ship. It's like, oh no, that happens too. Maybe not.
Yeah, no, she's pretty dead. And then Geordie unplugs Law, which well done, Geordie. Maybe could have done that last week.
When
but
daughter was in danger, why didn't you unplug him then?
yeah, it'd been an idea. But the way he says it is like, I'm not having Law connected systems anymore. No, that's a very good point, Geordie. Well done.
He loves machines more than his own family, is what we're discovering at this stage.
It does seem so. Which we'll get there, but the scenes with Geordie and Data are brilliant. And then, Jack goes spirit walking. And this is where it's Chakotay. Maybe it's that episode where Chakotay was a non-corporeal spirit floating around in the ship.
I think he took over the crew member outside.
Well, he did, yeah.
Gets him killed straight away.
Yeah. I did think for half a second when he was going into the body on the rewatch, I was like, wait a minute, but surely he's just like putting himself in danger as opposed to that crew member. Then it's like they do the bit with the codes and stuff. That makes sense. It's like surely
he don't tell everyone
to be someone else.
Yeah, he don't tell everyone about that. He's like, well, I just did a bit of spirit walking and
there's another one dead.
and says he's no more.
Also, where did he get the codes? Like, if he didn't talk to Picard and Vance, where did he get the code from? We should know those while he's not looking.
Picard gave him the codes.
Oh, did he give him?
Yeah, Picard's there talking to him and giving him the codes as he. So presumably he's there and he's in the other body, so you can still hear where he is. I presume. You know what? Jack's powers are ill-defined, and we've only got 2 episodes left.
If only Vadik could explain it to us at the start.
Yeah. If only that's it. Vadik
promised.
If they pulled that off next week, they just went, the only person who knew was Vadik. Oh, well. And, tune in for the Star Trek Legacy series when we might finally tell you what's going on with Jack.
God, can you imagine if
it'd be naughty. I said, sorry, the last thing I'll say on this, but I mentioned in our chat earlier on this completely of an episode of The X-Files, the season 4 premiere of The X-Files. And during that episode, Mulder is in a car with one of the alien hybrid conspiracy shapeshifters. And he goes, I will take you to a place that will have all your answers. And it's like, it's a several-hour drive. And they get there, and they're pulling up, and he goes, now I will tell you all the answers. And then the alien bounty hunter turns up and chases him off. And you're like, you've just been in a car for 5 hours together. Why did you not ask him all this shit that you've been looking for 3 years at this point? And spoiler alert, you'll be looking for him for another 20 years. So you had the chance. And then it's, don't worry, I'll just tell you. It's better to show you. I better show you. It's all to do with bees. And the alien bounty hunter's here again. Damn it. And it just reminded me of that. It's like, just tell us. Come on. Anyway.
My favorite one is Captain Jack from Doctor Who. No one seems to notice that for the beginning of it, he's trying to find out. He used to be a time agent, but his memory's been erased. What happened? And then after a couple of series, once they do the Torchwood spin-off, they decide they're not interested in that, and he's just after finding the Doctor again. But they completely forget about that, never mention it. They finish to sort it out on audio, thank you. But for Christ's sake, that's some pretty lazy storytelling. To just
and also with Captain Jack, they had that thing, didn't they, where it was like his thing is that he's going to dress in the era of whatever he's in. So that's why he's wearing his classic outfit when they first meet him during the war. And then when they go to Cardiff in the next episode, he dresses like he's from there. And then they went, you know what, we really like that war look, so that's just going to be how he dresses now. Forget that he changes it. Anyway, Riker and Troy, then, I think the scenes with them two are really, really good. I have some issues with the overall thing, that the way they're talking about this distance between them is as if it's something that's happened really recently, but we know that Thad died a long while ago.
I thought that was in cryo during the first season.
No, Thad was
cure him with bits from Data, or was it he was dead and they could have?
He was dead and they could have cured him if
sorry, it was
there wasn't the synth ban.
Yeah.
So I don't mind. I don't mind that they've jiggled with the timeline a little bit, because it does give us some really good emotional stuff between them. So I'm willing to let that one go. But it just seems a bit weird that they're having an argument about something that happened 15 years ago or something at this point. But that does happen. You do have these resentments that build up, but the way Riker talks, like he says, which I thought was a great line, he says, "I've missed loving you," and as if this distance between them has been there ever since he died, which doesn't really fit with what we knew when we saw them in Nepenthe.
That's a bit which bugs me. It's like the rest of it, I could, grief over the course of 10 years is nothing when you've lost a child, and people can be in really messed up places. And you could even slightly justify the first series appearance that they were just pretending, going through the motions because Picard was there, they were pretending. But it would have been cleaner if we hadn't had that first series guest appearance. But just to have them there, this is what I want to see. If they were going to rehash that storyline, which I felt was kind of put to bed earlier, but if they're going to, this is how I want it to play out, and it was beautiful. I love them coming together, them kind of like realizing how much they'd lost each other. Him saying Imzadi was another one to put off the tick list of Next Generation things that had to happen in the series.
And I like the fact that she goes, "I wish I could have taught you a different word."
And it's like the Riker charm was a wonderful line. It reminded me of one of the audios. You had the nephew, or like one of the books, which I had an audio. You had the nephew of Kirk, and he was going, it's like, time to see if I've got that legendary Kirk charm. It just so much reminded me of that. Riker is, of course, the Kirk of Next Generation. We all know when it comes to ladies. It was just so nice, so sweet, and just he just had the right amount of machismo, which you need for Riker. Whilst being humble enough to be vulnerable in that moment as well. It was just really
it was great, and there was never any question that these two characters deeply love each other. But it was like, we've got to hash these things out, but there's no question that they're going to split up over this or anything. I just love the way they played it. It's like, he says what he's annoyed about and then gives her a big hug, and then she says, "I'm sorry for doing this," and goes and hugs him. I just love that the bond they've got's that strong.
That's one on the hug count for Troy. And notice when I said last week, that was Crush's count for the whole thing. She just hugged.
That's
Troy,
true.
No one else got a hug. She's lady one hug. I know it can't be Troy because she wasn't there. It was Data, right? Oh, someone. She just hugged one person though.
Troy, she only did. You're right.
Geordie, there you go.
That's it. And I like the way Riker sort of like we get a bit of background to what we didn't see last week, which was Riker sent that code under duress because they were torturing Deanna. And also, well done TV show for not making us watch that. I don't think we needed a torture scene. So thank you.
And he also acknowledged that he gave a code that the note that it was given under duress.
I mean, it's fine. I didn't want to see Troy being tortured, but it seems so weird that we didn't see just one cutaway scene of him sending the code.
I didn't mind it.
It just seemed, it felt like, well, back to the X-Files, felt like when Mulder wasn't in the episode, but they wanted to include Mulder, they just mentioned him a lot. And it's like, he's just left on the train. We just missed him.
Season 9, when they do that, that's awful. Like, there's a bit where he's in the shower, and he's like, "No, he isn't."
Like, we did see the episode before, though, Riker getting beat up when it was captured. So we did see him getting beat up.
We
need to see him getting? And I think it was sort of implied the fact that they had Troy, that he didn't need torturing anymore. That was all in it. He'd been beaten up already at that point, and he wasn't going to talk at that. But as soon as they had Troy, no questions asked, he was giving that code.
Oh god, yeah. The reasoning for it makes perfect sense. I just don't know why you couldn't have just had him for 5 minutes while he's recording one of the other episodes just to film that, as opposed to show me, don't say it. It just seems weird to
because Frakes needed a week off. That's why.
I don't know, but yeah. Also, this is kind of what I wanted. If they are going to do the thing with Troy and Riker, as soon as they're on screen, they did actually do this pretty deftly. We had short moments with them on screen across a view screen talking where they kind of address the fact they've been estranged. So they mention it, but as soon as they're on the screen together, they're together, which is really what you want to see. That I definitely thought was perfectly handled.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really good. And I like...
Although no Tuvok, where's he gone?
I think you got the wrong end of the stick there. I don't think Tuvok was on Vadic's ship. I think the changelings have got whoever they've taken over. They presumably stashed them wherever they are. Like it would have made sense for Vadic to be carting everyone around.
I'm sorry to make you look foolish in front of the viewing and listening audience, but
that's all right.
Obviously clearly missing the line by 709 when she said, "That's definitely fake Tuvok," and definitely real Tuvok is definitely with the Troys, and definitely when you cut away to see them together, you will see Tuvok. Do you know?
Right, I'm sorry. I forgot it. I'm sorry.
And she said all the which I just said just then as well.
I remember. Yeah,
word for word.
I think that might have been another bit that was cut for time, like when they said, "But I'll tell you in the future." But yeah, I like where Riker says, I bet Jean-Luc's laying a classic Picard trap. And then it cuts immediately to the bridge and they're all just lined up. It's a good visual gag.
It was brilliant. And as we were saying just before we went on, another one for the last two series, not in the first one, but in the second and third series, they really do like their moments, which look like a moment from one of the films. Obviously, the second series was pretty much just loads of references to the Voyage Home. This one, they've just been peppering them throughout. And it's another one where it's like Christopher Lloyd walking along the row of people before he kills.
As I said, this is more like how Lower Decks does Easter eggs this season. It's plucking from
it's so
Star
obvious.
Trek. It's plucking from 55, 56 years of Star Trek and just going, we like that, we like that, we like that. We'll reference it all.
It's like with it. Yeah, it does feel very. You're right. You've hit the nail on the head. I hadn't thought why, but it just felt like really. I mean, again, I love to see.
It feels familiar.
Think back to those moments.
It feels familiar, but not something that you're used to seeing in live action.
Yeah,
but that's because we've had 3 seasons of Lower Decks now.
True.
And I don't want them to have sort of like nicked saps from the films. I don't know. I mean, because it's like it's like, for instance, I'm loving all the classic music they've got throughout from Star Trek history. No Star Trek is left unturned for a great bit of music. That's wonderful, but at the same time, that's not what Star Trek does. It has new music for each show, for each series. This is the one which, when you look back at Picard, you'll just remember, oh yeah, that was the one which had just the tunes from everything else. You won't go, oh, that's a classic First Contact score.
Yeah, but I think
great.
This is giving us what, like, when Picard was announced, everyone was like, oh, we're going to get so much Next Generation and that. And this is finally delivering what everyone's expectations were.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but I just think there is maybe a way between giving us no fan service, nothing recognizable to Star Trek in the first series, and just giving us reused bits from Star Trek. Like, and I think overall this is a stunning series. Don't get me wrong, I'm really enjoying the series. I love it. But this is just one of my little kind of things of like, I do love it when they give me something new, something which is just theirs.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes this feels like a tribute show in some ways. Not overall. The plot is new. Portals we've never had in Star Trek. Vedek is a very new bad guy. I'm not saying they haven't done anything new, and they've done something new with the Changelings, which was a bold move to put them in Next Generation kind of setting. They've done so much right, but just that thing seems a bit weird at times.
Well, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Speaking of seeing how things play out now, this I thought we were being set up for something here, and it didn't deliver it. A bit like the cliffhanger last week, but we'll stop going on about that. There's a bit earlier on in the episode where Shaw calls Seven Commander Hansen, and she says quite angrily, "My name is Seven of Nine," and this has surely got to be building up to a payoff where he calls her Seven of Nine.
Yeah. If
And
it
they
doesn't,
have
there's something wrong.
They have the perfect moment at the end of this episode where he says, "You take this one, Commander." If he'd have said Seven, you give this order. That, it just felt like that had been the moment for it.
Or does he take the piss with it? Because he could have taken the piss with this. Because she called people by the surnames in the ranks. So he could have just gone, "You take this one, Commander 9."
I thought that it should be Commander of 9, like her first name.
Yeah,
is 7.
that'd work.
But that sort of like, sure, he's respected her with her name, but he's also honouring military traditions, calling it by the second name. So he calls the Commander 9.
Yeah, in Captain Shaw fashion. Yeah, he's still Captain being a dick. Yeah.
I mean,
that'd be good.
I thought they were going to do it back when they had the earlier episode where they had the 10 forward in it, and he was they addressed it there about young LaForge calling her Sydney calling her 7 of 9. I thought they were going to bring in them because she brings it up with Shaw. She goes, it's like because
it's out of respect.
She's being a dick. She's going to meet 7 out of respect. I thought he was going to adopt it then, so I don't know.
Well, maybe we're building to a payoff, but it felt like that would have been the perfect moment this time. But anyway.
Can I also throw in a little Easter egg they put in?
Of course.
When they're going along and finding out details about the members of the crew before they kill one of them?
Yeah.
Have we got there yet, actually?
We're round about where she's threatening to kill them,
I think we've already established that we're jumping around quite a lot this
episode. Yeah. But anyway, they won the first guy to talk. He's already been established as, I believe it's like Lieutenant Myra. I forget his rank, but it's something Myra. And he gives his full name, Lieutenant or whatever, Matt Myra. That's actually a reference to a writer who used to be on the Nerdist with... that guy. He's also wrote for the Goldbergs. He does the podcast Star Trek The Next Conversation and also hosted After Trek.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Presented one of the after shows.
Yeah, before they did a Will Wheaton one. He found out as everyone else did, and he thinks one of his buddies who kind of like he knows.
No, that's nice.
Yeah, so it's kind of sweet.
Yeah, that is cool. It must have been a bit frustrating for like the writers who did it, because as we know, this were filmed back to back, so they must have been like, I can't wait till he hears about this thing that I did for him 2 years ago that he's going to have to wait. But yeah, so Jack decides to, and I do like the fact that he confides in his parents. He's like, I need to tell both of you something, and that's nice that they are building this familial bond. And I like how, I was going to say I like how easily Picard takes it in his stride, because he just goes, well, tell me how, Jack. And it's like, yeah, but you would with the shit Picard's seen over the years. Yeah. That's not a great surprise that somebody's got powers.
Well, you've got magic powers, yeah. I remember the time when Riker became a Q.
Yeah. Exactly, or that time Barclay became a super being, so this is par for the course, Jack, don't worry.
When I became a robot who technically could be immortal if I wasn't programmed to age naturally. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute, no, still out.
The time I got turned into a ball of energy, and I signaled my friends by making a little P on the LCARS display. It was not my finest hour.
And not to be confused with the time I bawled out your mother. Yes, I had sex with your mum. Yeah, you're my dad. Yeah, I had sex with your mum, though. Oh. He just turns into a dick about it.
Many times. Anyway, and then Vadik kills the Vulcan lady. Wait, she does this thing like, I'm going to kill you? No.
Yeah, that was sort of like, we were talking just before we came on, that this is very reminiscent of Star Trek 3 with the execution scene. Mm-hmm. Which Vadik takes this to another level. She has her on the floor on her knees with the gun, charging.
Yeah.
And then, with no notice, just turns and kills someone else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautifully done. But even then with the combat, it's like, tell them what just happened. It is that's Star Trek 3. That's what the combat
it is, yeah. And we pick up again then with Riker and Troy, and we've talked about most of it, but what I do want to call out is that Troy is in Acertes now. She talks about how Nepenthe is not really her cup of tea and it's been designed by hipsters. And you're just like, this is just Marina Sirtis 2023. It's no longer Deanna Troy. Yeah.
And I'll give you, in this episode, she sounds most like purely Marina Sirtis. Before, I still say she was throwing in a dozen different voices she's done.
Yeah, she was.
Because it's changed so much.
I think she's reached a point now where she's gone, no, I'm going to talk as me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even the dialogue they're giving her sounds like a modern English person. You know, it's crazy.
And she's hugging everyone.
I did see. I saw an interesting one online. I can't remember where I saw it last week. And did it cause a Klingon diplomatic event when they started serving Rocket?
That was me. I put that in the chat.
Was that you?
Yeah, no.
You know when you see so much stuff all over the
I was
place.
waiting for this moment.
Sorry, mate.
What I said was, did it cause a major diplomatic incident when the Klingons learned that they were making Raktajino into lattes? Yeah, it's like
I would think so.
Sorry, mate.
And I reckon
I'd seen it, and
I know what you mean.
You know what I think.
If anything, that's a compliment. The comment you made had gone viral already. So
yeah, it was just
there you go.
Also, it's when have we got to Troy meeting them? The Troy's meeting up with Worf.
That's where we are now.
Like,
so
we do get a little bit where Troy winds Riker up about when the Klingons arrive, and she goes, "Yeah, it was great in bed, but shit at pizza."
Oh, the changelings. Yeah, I like that.
Riker said just like.
I like that it's canonical. It's now canonical that Riker's pizzas are shit. We knew they were shit when we watched Nepenthe, but now we know that everybody knows the shit, and even he admits it.
I like that it's now acknowledged. Like, we have mentioned Riker's cooking quite a lot on this show.
We have.
Yeah,
we have slated him a lot, and it is finally now in canon that he is shit at cooking.
Yeah. No. This actually, get your notepads ready, giant freaking robot. It's actually canonical now. The eggs weren't bad. It was his cooking back in the next generation. Like, oh god, giant freaking robot can get like 20 pages out of that.
No, we discussed this at the time, and check out our old episodes, but the problem with that egg scene was that he said he was making an omelette, and he wasn't. He was making scrambled eggs.
By the way, but that could have been the texture of the eggs. He'd probably blame that, but no.
It was not cooked in the correct method. That is not how you do an omelette. You need an omelette pan. Yeah.
I would also throw in there, as soon as Worf and the Troys see each other, not only does Troy hug him, 2 hugs now, but Riker's getting in on the action. It's a three-way hug situation, and I do. The first thing he says is like, "My personal space is being invaded." It's like,
personal spaces are right.
Was it just me, or was there a delayed reaction from the Troys? Like, because we get the guard comes up and about to come in, and then he's stabbed in the back and he hits the floor, and then it comes to the Troys, and they start looking around as if what's happened. But Worf was stood right behind him to stab him in the back.
It's like when Geordie didn't see Data the other week. You know, if you stood in front of someone, you are invisible.
Yeah, and it is. It's like, because you get the guard hits to death. But from their point of view, I know we don't see it on the camera because the camera cuts to them looking. But from
You're right,
Worf would be bang there. But they're looking around as if, what's happened? What happened there? What was that?
Okay. I've schooled Jim. Now I'm going to have to do it to you, Elliot. I'm sorry. I don't enjoy doing this, but like as soon as the camera panned away to them, Worf, like the ninja he is, became invisible in that moment. By the time it cut back, he was visible again because he chose to be. Worf's a ninja.
Yeah. I love how, and my theory on this is that Worf is doing this deliberately to wind Riker up.
Oh, 100%.
Because he knows that he's had a relationship with Deanna, and he thinks what'll wind Riker up the most. And the first thing he says is like, "I have counted the days since I last saw you."
I also love the mix where he goes between. It feels right, the mix they've done of old Worf and new Worf. So he can still kick ass. He can still not love his personal space being invaded, even though he's going on this spiritual journey. And he can still. I think there was some genuineness to complimenting Deanna.
I think there was,
but definitely the way he did it was definitely.
I like how Riker's sort of like inappropriate, and Troy's hushing Riker because he's liking the compliment.
Yeah. No, this is definitely carrying on this sort of bickering that they had a few episodes. Worf's thought, I know what I'll do. This'll.
It also seems it also seems like another throw-out to all good things. Now, this kind of subtle reference I like. You know, it seems like because they were like actually in that timeline. Now, Riker's with Troy doesn't mean he doesn't want a little bit of wind up, you know, on him.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe there's a bit of jilted lover still in him somewhere.
I think so, yeah. But I do enjoy it. Then they need data to do some tech stuff. So, like, we need a computer that can compute 8 billion million squillion. And the camera just sort of goes, duh.
Well, we have LaForge, like, which LaForge is it?
Sydney.
Sydney, and she says, it'll take me a year, it'll take me dad a month, but so computer will do it in minutes.
Yeah.
And Geordie says, if only there was one here. Oh, data! Sorry, you were stood right in front of me. I couldn't see you.
But it means we get the classic good version versus bad version battle. And, you know, the epitome of that to me is still Superman 3, where you've got Clark Kent versus evil Superman.
No. There's a better one in Superman 3. There's the green versus the red crossing man. Who goes
in Superman 3. Yes, that's a good bit as well.
Yeah.
That is a good bit, you're right. And they did Angel versus Angelus in Angel at one point. And so
I still think the Superman 3.
It's
the little crossing guard guys. Yeah, that was
the loyal crossing guard guys are good, yeah. But I do like the way they do this one. This is more of a metaphysical battle between the two of them. And it's an acting showcase for Brent Spiner to have these completely different characters, and you're never in any doubt as to who's speaking at any given time. You know, I think sometimes we may have commented on him being somewhat hammy at times, but he absolutely nails it, and he nails the innocence of Data and the maniacal side of law. It's just great, is this?
I mean, I said in the last series, it really showed, it gave him that ability to do the kind of really serious acting, but still every now and again you got a little bit of cheesy Brent Spiner acting, which I enjoy. I'm sorry, I enjoy a little bit, but it shows that he is actually capable of a lot more as an actor. I think maybe in Next Generation times, we just weren't ready for it to be treated quite as seriously as it does now. But my God, the things I love about this is, one, it looks like it could have been very similarly filmed for the Next Generation. It would still work for the time period. You know, it feels nicely in keeping with the way they were set up in that. But also, what the genius of this is to me, is that you know exactly what Data's doing right from the first memory. It's really obvious, but you're still drawn to it. It's still great. It doesn't detract from it one iota. You know that he's obviously setting him up and he's implying his memories into him, so he becomes him. It's crystal clear, but you still can't turn away from it. And the things they choose as his memories, like, you know, Tasha. And that exactly in the same thing we saw it in when we last saw in a funeral. You've got the deck of cards, so reminiscent of some
games of poker. His pipe for Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, very nice.
A tricorder, because he always had a tricorder.
Oh, I like to think that was a nod to Generations, Mr. Tricorder.
Mr. Tricorder.
Now, he didn't speak, so we can't know for sure, but I think that was Mr. Tricorder. And
I think it will
scanning
be.
for life forms, so a tricorder would help him with that.
Yeah.
And obviously Spot's a boy again, but okay.
Spot's been a boy and a girl.
Yeah, exactly. So no problem with that. And yeah, it's it's just a brilliant, wonderful scene. And like you say, I always love it when you have the good guy beating the bad guy by being cleverer than them. And that's exactly what Data does here. It's Law, he's hoist on his own petard. He's like, well, I knew you'd want to keep them as trinkets, but...
No, you'd see them as trophies.
Trophies, sorry, is the word he uses.
No matter what you're saying to me, you see this is taking a trophy.
Yeah. And it's both the fact that Data's got to get around the fact that he can't kill someone. He's not killing him, he's merging with him, so he's not killing him.
Yeah, that's how he justified killing B4 as well. I must turn you off now, brother.
Yeah, that's an off switch, that's not murder. Okay, Chief.
No,
but then you got also I love the thing of when the villain can't conceive that someone's bested him, but he's getting ever angrier that Data's just sitting back along.
Yeah.
He's getting annoyed because he's been outthought by him. I think on one level he knows that Data must be playing the game because he's getting more and more annoyed under the skin.
Yeah.
And I feel like in his last moment, he sort of acknowledges it. Like when Data says, goodbye, brother, he says it back to him really genuinely. And it's like he's finally just, okay, you won.
Yeah.
I even think it's sort of part of their program merging. I think it's like, not only does he realize he's lost and Data's won, but also it's like he can get it finally. Like, because he's got that Data brain inside of him. Added with his own, it's like, oh shit, this is what I didn't get. And I do love they managed to do it without making it too cheesy. The fact first thing he says is like, you got all breaks, you got your friends, you got family, you got like the things which they consider the breaks, even though Law then in the next breath tries to dismiss them as being worth it. The only thing worth it is Signs of Your Conquest. The first thing he says is, you got all the breaks because you got friends. And I think that's so wonderfully Star Trek, so subtly played.
Yeah, it is.
Against it, but really like, deep down, Law just wants a buddy. He just wants a mate.
It's like, well, do you know what, Law? You might have had friends if you hadn't have summoned the crystalline entity to destroy the planet you were on. You know, that was pretty much where it went wrong for you. And then you had another chance and you summoned the crystalline entity again. Then the pack leads adopted you, and then you came back and killed your dad, and then you tried to make mates with the Borg and take over the galaxy. You know,
I think how many friends he had in the Borg. I mean,
exactly, loads of them.
I think it was that early portrayal by the villagers. He just never got over it. It's like, because
that's it.
He couldn't trust friendship, but he always longed for it, which I kind of always love that duality, that kind of twisted thing. That the reason why they're bad guys because they can't square the circle of being betrayed, but wanting to have people in their lives.
The way they present it as like this big hero moment is great, that you get all the lights go red, which I like the fact, right, let's give Data the blue lights because that looks like a goodie, and we'll give Law the red lights because that looks like a baddie.
That's Star Wars all the way through.
Of course it is, yeah.
For the Sith.
Exactly.
For the Jedi,
and then it all goes red, and then it all goes blue again, and Data reappears. It's just great. It's great fun. And I feel like it'd be easy to be cynical and go, they've brought Data back again, but I feel like they've earned it this time.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy with it.
It's interesting how they're going to kill him and bring him back again.
No, no, never again.
I think we're done with Data dying, at least for now. But I do like that they acknowledge that. Like Picard says, well, hang on, you wanted to die. And it's like, no, that version of me did. And
peacefully.
This is a new version.
Yeah, I feel like they were talking to the audience go, please.
I feel like they were,
Please don't hate this.
I think that's what they were doing, going, look, we know that's going to bug you, so here's the answer, but you know what? What we're doing is better than what they did in season 1, so shh. You're on our side. We were on your side till you did your double cliffhanger. Now we're not so sure. So
I must admit, it felt a little forced. I know I'm the one who's always saying just put a one-line explainer in there, but it's like it felt a little forced. Picard saying that to me.
It was very much exposition. Like that conversation didn't need to take place.
It didn't feel organic.
Yeah. And then moving on from Data then. So we find out they've taken parts of Picard's brain, Which, again, this is why I think it's a Borg thing. I think they've taken the bits that still had the Borg in there. And Jack goes to the bridge with a thermal detonator, or what looks like a thermal detonator. And we know that because C-3PO translates it. He's holding a thermal detonator. And the little monkey thing on Vadic's shoulder goes, Wah!
I think that's a lighter.
Yeah. And so Jack finally says to Vadic, what are my gifts then? Stop talking all this bullshit, Vadic. And she goes,
We can string this out for another episode.
Yeah, and she's like, but I'll give you another tiny clue. It's appropriate that Seven is here because Seven's a Borg, you see. She's an ex-Borg.
I think the Borg are definitely linked into it.
I think they are. Anyway, but yeah, it's a little bit annoying. She does, though, talk about, have you heard voices? She knows he's seen the door. She talks about isolation. And as we know, when someone's been part of the Borg and then they're isolated, so I do think this is Borg.
I was going to bring in, like, I don't get Seven suddenly at the last minute deciding to jump on the bridge. What is she actually adding? She's
accepting the consequences.
Yeah.
How does that benefit?
She's not leaving him alone.
Yeah, she's not.
There's nothing she can do to help. If he does have to let off that device, surely getting far away so she can help the crew is better. To me, it didn't make much logical sense. Even emotional sense. I don't know how she's helping him by being there.
I think she just, doesn't want to leave him alone in these circumstances. Yeah. I think she probably knows there's not much she can do, but out of loyalty to him and to Picard.
I think also with Seven, though, she's also, if an opportunity arises, that she could act on it.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I think we'll let her off. We'll let her, because she gets a good line in a minute, so we will let her off.
That's true.
And yeah, the retaking the ship all happens really, really fast. Like Raffi comes on with some sticks, and
if we're going to go into that, have we addressed the scene around the table?
With the crew? We're not there yet. That's after they've got the ship back.
Oh, was it action data first? Sorry, I missed
it.
Pardon me.
So they retake the ship really quickly, and Data gets to do his I'm really pissed off, and we find out that Data now does have feelings.
Security officer.
And Raffi and Worf presumably just mop up the stragglers of the changelings, and Seven gets to channel Harrison Ford in Air Force One, where she says, "Get off my bridge."
I mean, the only thing that was missing was after Raffi took down those changelings expertly with her Mac lifts. The only thing he needed was the water turn up going, I could have done better still.
That's true.
To be fair, Worf did turn up and go, you're still dropping your left shoulder.
Oh, he did. Sorry, he did.
Yeah, he did.
You're right. He did do it. That was good. I like that. Sorry.
How do we feel about the emergency ejection door where the view screen is? Because I know friend of the show, Laney, her partner, Mr. Laney, or Keith, to give him his actual name, was not happy about this at all. And whereas I'm kind of okay with it.
What was his argument?
That it's never actually been a window and it's never actually been a door.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean you couldn't build one.
It's a window in the new in the Star Trek movies, the Kelvin.
In the Kelvin movies, it's definitely a window.
For it to be an emergency exit there makes sense in emergencies, but especially if you have like your saucer section crashes on a planet when your engineering.
They'd have been all right, that
so your crew could escape from the bridge.
Yeah, they could have learned from that earlier incident. I was going to say, but in the Kelvin timelines, isn't it? Don't they polarize the view screen, so it's not there?
Don't they do this in Next Generation season 1? What's it called? The rip-off from TOS, where they get infected.
Oh, Naked Now.
Naked Now, where they ejected themselves from the bridge to open the escape hatch.
Maybe, but the bridge always had a little window at the top of it in
TNG.
I'm
sure it was like
I talk about
front. It was open at the front.
It might have been.
Can I just...
If we're going to talk about the bridge being impractical, it's really impractical to put your bridge on a bubble right on the outside of the saucer. It's like, no, it should be in the middle of the saucer.
Of the most heavily armoured.
So that if anyone attacks. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm okay with it.
Can I just check something? Sorry, Emmett, because I always bow down to you for Starship knowledge. But I thought on the view screen in the Kelvin timelines, I thought they polarized the view screen, basically nicking some tech which they came up with in Deep Space Nine.
Well, they can polarize it, but you do actually see shots where it is clearly a window.
Yeah,
screen.
You do.
Oh, I thought it was done as a sort of basically,
no, you see it from the outside as well.
Oh,
yeah, when they're under the water and into darkness, you can see in through it.
Oh,
Yeah.
so is it maybe different to the one? So basically, what we're saying is they've got polarized view screen on the Kelvin, but not on the Enterprise. In that movie, yeah, that makes sense.
Possibly.
The Kelvin, right at the beginning, because I just remember one of the first things we see of the Kelvin. It's right at the beginning of the film. He goes polarized the view screen. And I remember things like they just came up with that in Deep Space Nine.
I'm quite sure though, if you watch Naked Now, that it's pretty much where the view screen is. That they open the emergency hatch on the bridge.
I'm not going back to watch the Naked
Now. But that
Now.
put it well into canon.
It would, and the fact is, it's canon now. It might be a new thing.
The Naked Now has the best I have just had sex scene ever in any TV program when Data walks back onto the bridge.
Yeah, true.
And it's also got Flirty Picard going. He sounds like Beavis and Butthead.
Doctor. Yeah, that's really weird. Is that? I thought my VHS was skipping when I watched it first time,
and then the clothes dropped off.
And I saw it.
Like, Doctor. I've seen everything. So then Seven gets a cool fire, but. Should we really be destroying the Shrike? Picard's body's still on it. I know we've taken some information about what they've done, but surely we could find out who a handler is, maybe. We could interrogate people.
Haven't they got the body? They only took a bit of the brain.
No. The body is still on the Shrike when they destroy it. Yeah, they've already extracted the brain from it. I think
Shaw's just had enough of the Shrike.
I think he has, and I think Seven has.
Yeah, it's probably that they don't have enough time to deal with it and then go back to Starfleet.
Probably. But it just seemed a little bit hasty.
Can we just skip back a little bit?
Of course.
I mentioned this just before we came on there as well. And it's where they do open the view screen and they get sucked out. So we have Vadic and she's floating and freezing and you think, oh, she's a changeling, she'll be all right. And we know she isn't, she gets smashed up. But the irony is, if she hadn't become part solid and stayed a changeling, she would have been all right because we saw that in Chimera.
Yeah, it's worth saying.
Where we had the changeling, it was like the big space bug.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. If you're going to get sucked off, then you want to be gooey. That's what we want.
And maybe that's why she says fucking solids. She's not just talking about them. She's like, I'm going to die because I'm partially solid now.
I mean, that is a perfect example of well-used swearing in Star Trek Picard. I don't think Picard should. It always sounds wrong when he says it. But she can swear like a good one. Yeah.
However,
like you said before it started, I nearly got my wish where she was like, I'm going to kill every last motherfucking one of you.
Yeah, because I mean,
she close to it, implying
she does say that, just not in so many words. I'm going to do it every 10 minutes. However, what we found out when Beverly autopsied the changeling is that they do revert back to liquid once you've made them teeny, teeny, tiny. So if she shattered into enough pieces, she might be able to reform if she warms up. So Vadic could come back.
I did wonder there was a small possibility.
I think it's because she's sort of like little solid red ice cubes now. She's a...
Yeah.
I mean, there is...
I think she's done.
And they're going all over, so...
I think she's done.
You might have the odd one, so you'll have a little tiny army of hell Vadics running around.
Could do, yeah.
When they talk about them going through space, I'm wondering if, I mean, I think the way they've done it, she should be done. However, if all the bits turned into goo over time, and they could reconform. It does seem
but it's like how they've gone off and then
but like
they're around the spaceship that gets.
But then the
blown
question
up as
is,
well afterwards,
the question is then if bits of changeling have will to move, like if a changeling in space can decide on its course, or if it's just
which we know it can.
They're traveling. Yeah, so it would seem plausible, but it would just be very far.
And speaking of Army of Darkness, have you noticed that it's just dropped on Amazon?
What, Army of Darkness?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And the new one's coming out soon, Evil Dead Rise, which I don't think it's got Ash in it, which is a shame.
No, he's working on it, but I think it's a sequel in the same universe.
Yeah, it's
new cast.
Okay, so we're wrapping up then. Deanna senses the all-consuming darkness. But the important thing here is we get so many awesome scenes. Like we get Data saying he's finally human, but he's got a crink in his neck.
Yeah.
And this lovely moment with Geordie.
Let's just start the moment. Like when they're all around the table. Troy hugging everyone. Not anyone's missed off her list.
Yeah.
Russia. Like Bev, anyway. Everyone gets hugged. We've got, of course, the wonderful bits with Data, and I love the fact that Data. It's sort of like, again, this was a more subtle, I think, nod to like how they did it in the films, because he always got this kind of like one line after they decided what they were going to do. It was only really decided once Data got his extra line going. It's like, you realize, of course, all of you could have been affected by the effects of the planet making you younger on Baku. I would be the only one who isn't affected. What do you say then, Data? Lock and load. And he gets another one here. It's like, I forget, because he's already said it's a bit about like, if there was anywhere in the universe I could be, it would be here with my friends. It's just so sweet. He is so much still the Data we love, but completely different at the same time. The way they've squared that circle.
Yeah, it's great. Amazing. And what you don't hear after he says that.
There was a nice line that we missed it, actually, when Picard first goes to Georgie before they sort of like revive Data.
Oh, yeah.
Proving that they're not changelings. And Georgie goes, oh, you came to visit me 6 years ago. Yeah, I brought you a bottle of Picard so-so, and you didn't like it. You never did have any taste.
Yeah, your taste was pedestrian.
Yeah, the word.
I would be getting fucked off with this if I were Picard's mate. I'd be like, look, just actually buy me something. I'm sick of your own shit wine every time I see you.
I'm not being funny, but Georgie doesn't like it. Jack doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Shaw doesn't like it. There's a long list of people now who are starting to come out and go, no, Picard. Okay, make wine. But it's shit. We don't like it.
It's crap wine. Nobody likes it.
God, it tastes like
Stop trying to give it away.
You're selling it the same year that you bottle it. That is not what you do with like wine.
Do you know what? It tastes like you made it out of the raisins from Bulmer's vineyard of raisins. That's what it tastes like.
It's just fucking diabolical, Picard.
It always used to remind me when I worked in catering with Beaujolais Nouveau, and it used to be a big thing in the 80s. I don't know if it still is, but 80s and 90s. Massive thing how soon you got a bottle of Beaujolais Nouveau going. But it was the same year's bottle. And people paid a fortune for this shit. Because it didn't taste like shit. It was crap. Because it had only been bottled a few months ago. Wine needs to sit for years to be good.
Yeah.
I agree.
But wonderful scene. I just think that scene of them all around the table.
It's lovely, and it's what we've been waiting for.
This is what we were waiting for from when Picard was first announced.
Yeah, and it's they've done it early enough that we can still have a venture after. Like they're together early enough to have a few episodes with them together.
Yeah, it isn't like they've saved this for the last 5 minutes of episode 10.
Yes,
to finally get together. They've done it 2 episodes to go, and like James mentioned, there's rumours that the final episode is a double episode.
Oh.
Like you were saying, 2 hours. A double episode will actually be an hour 40 minutes. But I'm happy with that anyway.
Take that with a grain of salt, though. I just heard that people were speculating about it online, so it may not be the case.
It is being shown at cinemas.
Which
It is, but they're also showing
in
next
America.
week.
This is actually a warning to people who try to avoid spoilers, because Paramount, Amazon don't release it till Friday everywhere apart from the US.
Yeah.
So they've decided with the last episode, because it's bad enough trying to avoid spoilers for one day, that they are showing it in cinemas on the Wednesday.
Yeah.
So next Wednesday, the final episode is going to be shown to people in cinemas. So avoid spoilers, especially anything by that idiot Wesley Crusher.
Yes. Yeah. If you can do your Facebook filters, turn off Will Wheaton for
2 days.
Speaking of the Crushers, just a quick nod to Crusher also gets a nice little moment in this where she says it's like, even though I was gone for 20 years, wasn't that I didn't miss you guys. Like, she talks about the fact that she wasn't just trying to be a dick, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
And Worf thought about sending them all heads.
I thought
Yes!
I thought this was brilliant.
But I was advised that this might seem passive aggressive. The 7 heads of all my enemies. That was the.
They should have.
I just like how Worf thought this would be a nice gift for my friends to send them.
Yeah, they should have a flashback scene to DS9, and just after he's killed Gowron, and he should be like, maybe Commander LaForge.
I was thinking you should have it in a box with Picard and Cisco coming up behind you and going, no.
No, Worf. We've talked about this. So anyway, then.
Martok, no.
Yeah, well, no.
They don't get it like us.
Yeah, it's not all he sent you were that crappy wine, so he's not getting the head of your enemy. That's disproportionate. Then obviously the cliffhanger. Councillor Troy now apparently is also a hypnotherapist. Fair enough. She could have learnt new powers out on Nepenthe. I'm not bothered. That's fine. But we get the same fucking cliffhanger again. We're at the Red Door. We're going to go in it. Have you guys seen the clip that they've released from next week? Right, I won't mention it.
I've ignored them. Well, you know I go out of my way to ignore stuff.
You do, and I've not seen it. I've just heard people have seen it and a brief description of what happens, and it's not too spoilery. But I don't think we're going to get this revelation straight away. I think we're going to get reactions and other people talking and like, oh, Deanna's been chatting to Jack and blah, blah, blah.
I just want to give you a warning that I may not be able to contain myself from being really angry when I watch episode 9 tomorrow if it ends on the same cliffhanger.
If it ends on the same cliffhanger, I'm done. I'm not going to watch episode 10. We're going to close down the podcast and we're going to start. What's the enemy of Star Trek? We're going to start Star Wars podcast.
All I'm going to say is, psst, psst, Jim, don't say that. They'll go in like in the few hours they've got before it airs in America. They'll re-edit it just to spite us. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But yes, I too will be annoyed.
Anyway. We're bloody sheep for Star Trek. You put Star Trek on anything, we'll watch it. We all know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we ever run out of Star Trek episodes to talk about, we'll review that car advert that Shatner and Nimoy did. We'll do TJ Hooker.
Anything for TJ Hooker, let's face it.
Yeah, TJ Hooker. That'd be a pretty cool one to do a podcast on.
TJ Hooker.
There is actually a TJ Hooker podcast out there. Only one, I think, but it's been done, so we don't want to steal anybody's. We'll find something equally naff to talk about.
What was his Shatner's sci-fi series?
Tech War.
That's it.
Tech War, that he wrote all the books himself and everything. He wrote all the books himself. So yeah, anyway, same cliffhanger. We've talked about how annoyed about it we are.
Yeah, people may have noticed that we were annoyed about this cliffhanger.
Because of their exceptional work throughout the rest of the season, I'm gonna let them off this time, but they absolutely 100% have to give us the answer to this next week, and it has to be early next week.
And
Do we want a surprise guest star?
Always.
Who do we think we might get?
Bill Cosby. I mean, I don't think that really.
I mean, it still seems very possible that they could put in Denise Crosby. She's been saying a lot online. She was very pleased with the little cameo and stuff. Maybe that's a red herring to the fact.
Yeah, maybe. I still think Alexander Siddig, Dr. Bashir, there's still scope for that.
Oh God! Alexander comes up to war for child support money for all the years.
Oh yeah, Alexander. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we need a big DS9 cameo.
Martok could be really good.
And I still think we're going to get Denise Cosby.
I think you're right. It would be wonderful to have Alexander Siddig come up as maybe the new head of Section 30. He's a good guy who's bringing them down, and that sets him up to maybe guest appear a bit in Legacy as well.
And I want to put out my theory now, because if it's going to happen in the finale, they might start planting the seeds next week, and I want to put this out there just in case I'm right. I think that we know that on what's it called? Not Federation Day, Frontier Day. We know that the whole Federation fleet is going to be there, and we know that they're potentially compromised by changelings. So the good guys are going to need a fleet. So I think what they're going to do is go back to Geordie's shipyard, and they're going to find a way of remote controlling, or even maybe put one cast member on each ship and have them automated. But basically, I think we're going to get an armada made up of all the classic hero ships. And I think the Enterprise E will be in there, and they'll maybe use that as the flagship of this armada. And I think we're going to get that.
I mean, we've got to get the Enterprise coming in the next couple of episodes.
We've got to get the
Enterprise. It should be the next episode it appears, and then to see it more, and then the episode afterwards. Yeah, I mean, because that's the only thing. It's like it has felt a bit weird that we've been on the Titan this series when they could have just been on the Enterprise. Like, they could have done a new Enterprise episode. They didn't have to stick to a previous model.
I think there's two reasons why they've not done that. One, it'd be a bit harder to take over the flagship the way they did, and two, they wanted dickish captain, and you wouldn't expect that as the captain of the Enterprise. Like, you would expect the captain of the Enterprise to be less of a pushover than Shaw has been. So I think that's why it's not been that.
Yeah, because I've never seen a pushover captain on the Enterprise. Have we, like the Enterprise B?
Yeah. Good point. I think you
but
you could have brought it in when you went to the shipyard, though. They could have taken the E out of mothballs.
To be fair,
they're saving that for next week when they go, we need a big ship.
I'm going to be fair to the Enterprise B now. The real captain was arriving on Thursday.
I think he's
yeah, very true.
Alan Ruck is always good to see up on the screen.
Alan Ruck is always good. I just
really want to give a quick shout out to the bit between Geordie and Data as well. Like when they're going to, and they just have a little scene about retractions, which is such a Data thing, which is mentioned so much that it was just a nice little callback. Although I'm still not sure what Data didn't get out of being human when he had the emotion chip that he's got now, because they're talking as if this has never happened. He told it
because he's got a human body, so he's going to grow older.
Well, that's fine, but they're saying like he's going, it's like, oh, I feel, isn't that strange? It's like, no, you got feelings before. You remember your last but one body.
It's like he's feeling creaks in his body and that his body moved perfectly before and.
Okay, I've got a shit body now.
Yeah, it was sort of like I know exactly to the fraction of a millimeter to the nanometer how tall I am. I know how high my hand is. I know how I can move stuff. And now it's that's not good if I move like that.
And I think that it's integrated now with organic elements. Like when he had the emotion chip, he couldn't really deal with it before. And anyway. I think we'll wrap up there then, and we'll see if any of our maybe next week, maybe the week after, maybe in the Jack Crusher spin-off series. Still not happy about it. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us retrekpod@gmail.com, tweet us at retrekpod, and Elliot's got Trek Model Studios on YouTube. You can also find the videos of the podcasts on there.
I finished this week where you can come watch it.
There we go, the Michael Keaton Batmobile.
Yeah, proper one, done in 1989 colours, not 1992 colour.
Oh,
which are different, and you can find out why.
You're just missing out on the full effect. When Elliot showed us just before we went on air, he kind of did the motion for the car. And just as we were getting to the jet propulsion at the back, he had this hacking cough, which sounded exactly like the engine. Like
the engine roaring in.
It was perfect timing.
And
it was. Squee, what's going on with the Dr. Squee show?
Oh, sorry, Elliot, did you want to?
Yeah, I was about to say there's a big new release Star Trek model that I ordered 1 hour after release that I've got to pick up on Friday from post office. And that will be on my channel this weekend, opening the box and possibly starting on.
On the Dr. Squee show, not only tomorrow do I have an interview with Richard Ashton, which you may know from Robin Hood, from Doctor Who, from loads of other shows. Wonderful actor. He talks all about it. But next Tuesday, on both the radio and video, for the first time ever for the Dr. Squee show, if I can work out the technology correctly, Tuesday, 6 till 8, we're going to be talking to, I'm going to say it this once so I don't say it to his face, the one and only Chesney Hawkes. 6 p.m. Probably going to go for about an hour on the video. But then if you want to hop over to the radio, I'll have some music and shenanigans lined up for you to enjoy over there. But an hour straight of talking to Mr. Chesney Hawkes live. So
I think you're missing a trick if you don't introduce him as the one and only Chesney Hawkes.
I think many other people might have caught that trick before.
They may have done that.
Have heard it. I'm thinking of an oblique joke about it, which I'll play a bit better. But anyway,
work on it. I'm sure.
Kind of fascinating. Like, what was it like though when you've like, what's your career like before that? What happens after you've done a huge film and a huge song, and then you've got to kind of like deal after the one-hit wonder? I think that's kind of fascinating.
Yeah, that will be interesting.
We might mention the song as well.
So come and check all of that out, and thanks for trekking with us this time. We will see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Drag off, LLAP. Next time.
Fascinating.
And what's actually happening with Jack is